Good morning. Well, good afternoon, evening, I don't know what time it is. A few weeks ago when I got this card working the first time, I was thinking what would be the most fun thing to do with it. And as time went on, I actually got a couple people sent me some old SAS drives. They're all not in great condition, but they all worked, except for one, and you'll find more out about that later. Anyways, I wanted to figure out something that I could do with them, so I figured why not throw as many hard drives at them as I can. So I took all the hard drives that I have currently. I actually have a few more that I'll talk about some other time, but I'm going to take all the hard drives that I have right now that are over on my desk, because I haven't moved them since I took the picture for the thumbnail for this video. So I'm going to go grab those hard drives and start putting them into the Pi. This live stream is also going to be fun because I'm testing out like 7 new things that I've never tested before on a live stream, including this wireless microphone. It's a Rode Wireless Go. Seems like it's pretty popular. They actually introduced a new model the day after I bought the one that I have here that has 2 lavaliers, but since there's usually only one of me, that's not a big deal. But I'm going to grab all these drives and we'll start putting them in. There's not much to the introduction besides the fact that I'm going to be plugging in 16 hard drives to a Pi and seeing what I can do with them. So anyway, another new thing that I have is I set up NDI plugin. There's an NDI plugin for OBS. So I actually have my iPhone. You can see my screen here. I actually have my iPhone on a little gimbal. Gimbal is also new. That I'm going to be able to zoom in up close on things if I need to show something like that. So that's kind of cool. And it is actually completely wireless. I forgot. Oh, mirror. It's wireless, but my iPhone is charging. So let me unplug that. Make sure it's on the right input. So that's kind of cool. I've always wanted to have a completely wireless setup for streaming. This is pretty awesome. I can imagine some other fun live stream ideas that I'll have with that. Anyway, I also have this desk cam over here. And it's not the best setup. The lens is not quite wide enough to fit everything in it. But here's the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 I/O board. Here's the Broadcom 9660 or something 16i. This is the SAS card. I have a whole video on it. If you haven't watched that, after the stream, go and look. Is there an echo? Oh, there's 2 microphones. There shouldn't be. Hold on. Oh gosh, there is. Sorry about that. Let me disable this source. Hold on. Properties. How do I turn off audio? Oh, I can just turn it down. There you go. Hopefully the echo should be gone now. Sorry about that. And that's not Red Shirt Jeff. Anyways, let's pop back over here to the desk cam. So I have the Compute Module 4, the SAS card that I have a separate video talking about it with this enclosure. And then I have this Noctua fan over here. This is plugged into the I/O board. The I/O board has a 4-pin fan header, and it even has a PWM controller for the fan. It's this itty-bitty chip up in the top here. And that's controlled over the I2C bus. I haven't figured out how to get that thing controlling the fan speeds yet. Once I do, I'll definitely post about that. Someone else may have already. Anyways, so the fan doesn't have PWM control, so what I've done for now is I'm using Noctua's own little, this is $20. It's overpriced for what it is, but it's, it was easy to set up, and it just has a little dial that I can turn up and down the fan speed so that it's not blasting me with cold air. But anyway, I have the Pi set up from that last video still. So it still has those 2 volumes, the SAS volume and the SATA volume. So I will plug in networking. And I'm using, right now, a 5-volt power supply. So this is the barrel plug for that. It's a 5-volt, or not 5-volt, a 12-amp 5-volt, 12 amp 5, gosh, what is it? 12 volts 5-amp power supply through the barrel plug. One thing that I coming into using the CM4, I didn't know a whole lot about how it provided power to cards, like the SAS card that I'm using. So I found out with the GPUs that if I used a 2 amp power supply, it wasn't enough to power some of the more power hungry GPUs. So I used an external card riser, but those have their own issues sometimes. So I wanted to find a way so that the CM4 IO board could supply the power. So I bought a 5 amp power supply instead of the 2 amp power supply, and that has solved a lot of problems, and it lets me plug everything direct into the board. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We want to start plugging in some hard drives. So I'm going to advance. This is another new thing that I'm testing for this live stream. I'm going to advance to the next step, and I want to show you this because I guess I'm proud of myself here. Let me go to the iPhone, and this time there won't be echo. So on my Stream Deck here, I have a forward and back button, and you'll see on the stream when I hit the forward button, it advances to the next step. And that is, it's not a plugin. I didn't want to write Lua script or anything like that. It's just a Node.js app running on the computer that builds an overlay that gets set up into OBS. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. You just got sucked into some vortex there. Anyways, so here's all the drives. I'm going to switch to the PyCam and we'll start connecting everything together on the data lines. So let me switch back to the desk cam and we'll start doing that. First, we'll go with the SAS drives. These are HP 300 gig. Oh, you know what? This camera doesn't autofocus. Let me switch over here. These are 300 gig HP SAS. I think they're 10K drives. They're pretty old. I bought them used on eBay about a month ago. They work. That's about all that can be said for them. They're kind of old, and as you saw in that last video, they sound like a freight train when they're doing heavy ride activity. So we'll see if they keep working after I took them out and put them back in. But we'll put these 4 drives in now and see what happens. The coolest thing, I mean, there's a lot of cool things about this backplane. It's actually a custom backplane. You can't buy this anywhere, which is unfortunate. But hopefully you'll be able to buy something like it at some point if you are a storage professional and want to do these kind of things with a nice, convenient backplane. The coolest thing is this is completely hot swap capable. So this could be all running, and I could pop a drive out and pop a new one in, which is nice. There are a lot of situations where you can't do that, but this backplane and this card lets you do that and repair RAID arrays and things like that, or expand them. The next drive I have, which is out of focus here, so I'll switch again, is these Kingston A400s. They're SSDs, consumer grade. Yes, I know in the comments everybody's mentioning like the consumer grade SATA drives are not qualified for use in professional RAID enterprise storage. And yeah, I know that, but these are super cheap. That's why I'm using them. They're super cheap and they are able to demonstrate the full bandwidth on the Pi very easily compared to the SAS drives and spinning hard drives. So that's why I have them. There's 220 gig drives and 240 gig drives. And why is it that way? Because the 120 gig drives were cheaper, and one time the 240 gig drives I got for the same price as the 120s. Next up, I have 4. These are nice and heavy. 4, what are they? They're WD green. Of course, they're covered by the bottom, so I don't know the exact model. They're WD green 300 gig SATA drives. They're like SATA, I think they're SATA 2 or SATA 3. I don't remember. You can look them up. I don't think I have a link to it in the description, but you can look them up some other time. I have a link somewhere in the world to these guys. Anyway, so this is a little different. With the storage backplane over here, the backplane itself has a power supply on the bottom, and it distributes power to these through one power cable. With these drives, they have SATA power connectors, which you can't see because the exposure on my little Pi webcam isn't amazing like the Sony. But anyway, each one has its own power connector. So how are we going to power them? Well, we'll get to that soon. For now, I want to do the data. So what I'm going to do is go and grab, let me switch back to this guy. I'm going to grab this cable, which is a HD mini SAS, I believe it is, to 4 SATA or SAS connections. And I'll go back over to my desk cam. And this connects to each of the drives independently and puts it into the card through one of its mini SATA, HD mini SAS, I don't remember. There's too many of these standards out there, and it's always confusing to try to remember which one is which. Anyway, so I'll get these connected. I'll try to show it. Actually, let me switch to this camera because I can actually move its position so you can see what's going on. There we go. And somebody asked, where did I get my Rocky Linux shirt? If you go to Rocky Linux's website, they actually have a store now, which is kind of cool. And their store has a bunch of merch that will help you support the Rocky Linux project, I guess. Anyways, if you want to see some interesting thoughts that I had on that, I have a video from a few weeks ago on Rocky Linux and what happened with CentOS and all that. Anyway, so let's get these things plugged in. We have one drive. I'm just doing it in order, P1 through P4, so P2 will be the second drive down. Doesn't really matter in the end too much, except for if you need to identify the drives if one of them fails, which there's a high likelihood of one of these 16 drives failing today, mostly because I'm doing a live stream and that's when they fail. All right, so we got those, and then on the other end is this HD mini SAS. And I know that there's probably a couple people on this live stream who know more than I do, way more about storage. So if I get any of the terminology wrong, please just pop it into chat. So anyway, this is HD mini SAS, I believe, and I'm going to plug these 4 drives. And I'll switch back to that chem. These 4 guys will go, oh my, I'm starting to run out of space here. I shouldn't have put a speaker on my desk. What am I thinking, making it easy to hear stuff? All right, so these 4 will go into C2 on the card, right there. And next up, I have this enclosure, which I'll switch over here. This enclosure is, this was sent to me from Germany, oh shoot, I forgot who it was that sent me this. Anyway, thanks so much to that, it was 2 people, somebody that worked in a data center and a friend of theirs. Got some of this old equipment together and sent it my way. This fits into a 5.5-inch drive bay and has 4 slots for SAS or SATA. And on the back, it has 1 power connection and 4 drive connections. So this is kind of a nice little thing, and cooling built in, which is nice. Because these drives do get hot. You can see the case is aluminum, and it has cooling slots too to make sure that air flows through. And it's still a little dusty from Germany, so I guess free German dust right here. Nice. So this little carrier, I'm going to grab these Fujitsu drives. I'll switch to the Sony just because the frame rate is a little nicer on there. These are Fujitsu drives. They're branded by Sun, and I think, what are they, 76 gigs or something? 73 gigs, 10K RPM. They didn't sound amazing either, but they actually sounded better than the HP drives that I was testing. So I'm going to pop these guys into these slots. And we'll get them going. I actually pre-wired this little enclosure with another one of those, with another one of those little mini SAS HD connectors to the SATA connectors or SAS connectors. Smoke vents, yes. They will let out the smoke when this thing blows up in a few minutes. So I'll get this plugged in. Oh goodness. How about, maybe we'll put this guy to the right over here. I'm just going to blast all the dust from these things straight into my speaker grill, because that's always a good thing for a speaker. Now, if I were building an actual enclosure for this stuff, I would probably just buy an old server or something with the slots built in and not do it this janky way. But hey, if it works, it works. There we go. Sort of. Okay. So far nothing is broken. I haven't turned it on yet. So that's good. Next up, let's see. I need to advance this thing. We're going to do the power. So I'm going to hit next on here. That worked. That's awesome. I'm happy that it's actually working. I got to connect out all the power. So in a video that I did, I think it was just yesterday. Man, it's already been one day. I actually showed how I zapped my old power supply. So this is the new 700 watt, what is Red Dragon or Red Dragon? I don't know. I don't know all the vendors' names. I still say Asus, but some people say Asus like Dr. Seuss. Anyways, I still haven't covered up this little connector, the little jumper that goes from PS on to ground that lets the power supply turn on. So I figured for the live stream in celebration, I'll get out my electrical tape, and that's better than nothing. So let's get a little piece of this, and we'll cover this just so it doesn't short 5 volts into the Pi or something. There we go. Look at that fancy connector, brand new, gonna work amazing. Exciting times. Someone also mentioned in that video that I posted yesterday that the switch on the back here for this modular power supply, the switch on the back can create a little bit of a current spike, which can kill a Pi or something. So they suggested that I don't use that to turn on and off the Pi, but instead I put a little momentary switch or something on here and turn it on and off with that. So that's what I'll probably end up doing at some point. For now, I'll just plug this in and unplug it when I want to turn it on and off. So to power the drives, you saw on this case, it has one connection for all 4 drives. And I believe that the bus on the power supply itself can send through, I think 6, oh man, sorry about the exposure here, 6 or 8 amps on each of these connections. So it should be plenty to power these 4 drives through just one connection using a Molex cable. This is a Molex cable, if you don't know, 4-pin. The Pi itself, the compute module, is kind of cool. You can power it through this fan connector, or not a fan connector, that'd be a horrible idea. You can power it through this floppy connector, which is 4 pins, which is the same pinout basically as Molex, the 4-pin standard here, but in the floppy format. I don't know why they used floppy. I don't particularly like these connectors because they're hard to unplug. But you can power it that way or through this, this barrel plug, which you can't see. There it is, little barrel plug. I usually do the barrel plug just because it's easier to insert and remove. Always a good thing to have that. Anyway, so I'm going to power this guy through one of these connections, and then I'm going to use a separate one to power these 4. The cables that this power supply came with, which I can't show you, there we go. The cables it came with have a connection to the to the power supply, and then 3 SATA connectors. So there's 4 SATA drives here. We need one more. So what I did was a while back, actually, I bought this 4 SATA connection adapter that takes 1 plug and goes into 4. So that should be enough to power these. I've used it in the past and it worked. And I'm realizing now that I shouldn't have plugged this into data yet because I need to get around to it. So let me do that. All right. This will take a minute. Ooh, I almost dropped all 4 of these drives. That'll be fun. All right, let me get this tape out of the way. Okay, so we're going to power up these guys. Let's get 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. And then I'm going to take this power and go into the end of here. Isn't it funny how these power cables are actually easier to plug in than USB cables? USB is the worst. Trying to get it plugged in blind. Just flip over the cable 100 times. Okay, so I have this power cable ready, and now I'm going to get this guy ready. So this should be a little easier. I just plug him in to the back of this storage bay, which is also inconveniently placed right now. So hold on a sec. All right. See, this is why storage backplanes are awesome. You don't have to sit here tangling with a bunch of cables. There's probably also interference issues if you cable things incorrectly, which can reduce the speed rating of the drives or cause errors and writes and things, which is always bad. All right, so now we have power and data connected. And this just looks amazing, doesn't it? All right, we got power, we got data, Everything's connected there. Now I'll go into the power supply. I'll just go into the first two jacks up here. Like that. Okay. And then I need to get power to this guy. I didn't think this through that well. Alright, let's see here. I just hope I don't damage the speaker. It's not the best speaker in the world, but hey. Alright, we'll just set the power supply up top. Looks terrible. Alright, and then I'm going to go on over to the power supply and plug it in. Let's see if we can get sparks. That'd be fun. There, that's plugged in. And I switched it on, but there's no power to the drives quite yet. So let me switch over to the iPhone just so you can see. Got the power supply up here. It's powering these two guys. Now, another thing somebody mentioned in the video that I posted yesterday was if you're powering the Pi separately from the power supply, so if I'm powering the Pi through a barrel plug that goes through an AC adapter into the wall, and then the power supply is powering some of the drives separately, that can cause some issues too. Technically, yes. That's something that you can actually power the Pi, like I said, through that floppy connector back there. So if you're going to set this up in a production environment, I would definitely do that. Just for convenience, I usually don't do it that way. But anyway, I got everything set up over here. Nice little janky setup, but if it works, it works. We'll see. And somebody asked, if you're reading these messages, what platform gives you the biggest share when buying your books? I actually have written a lot about in the past. Even if it didn't provide me the most revenue, my favorite platform is LeanPub. Not only do I update the books there first, I also do get a little bit more revenue from there on average than on Amazon. Amazon takes a larger portion, and actually iTunes I think takes the lowest portion, but nobody actually uses iTunes. There's like 3 or 4 sales a month. I don't even know why I published to there, but the iBooks store. Anyways, we'll get back to these drives now. So I got them all wired up. Let's move on to the next step here, which is, I can't even see my own steps. Turn on everything. Oh, that'll be exciting. So let's try that out and see what happens. First, I'm going to power up these drives by plugging in this connector. Like I said, this jumps PS on to ground to turn on the power supply. Since I don't have a motherboard and since I haven't wired up like a Pico or Raspberry Pi to be an on-off switch for this thing. So if I plug this in, it shouldn't short. That's a good sign. It didn't short out and explode. So now these should be coming on. So you see the blue lights there. And these, can't tell if they're, I can feel the fans from this guy, but I can't tell if the SATA drives are spinning up. I don't know. Let's try this again. Where's this plug? This one. The problem is they're new enough that they're not super loud, but they're old enough that you should hear them. So let's try this. Plug it in again. Yeah, I think they're on. Can't really tell though. We'll find out soon enough. All right, so I got those drives on. There's 8 total. The 4 SATA, the 4 SATA, the 4 SAS, super old SAS drives here. And then I'm going to turn on the backplane. The backplane takes a few seconds to kind of initialize everything. Oh gosh, I forgot that this light is uncovered. Hold on a second. I know that's probably not too distracting to you, but to me, holy cow, that thing's blinding me. Oh, someone mentions that the SATA drives won't power up until you power on the RAID card. Okay, that makes sense. There we go. Blue LEDs. We love them. All right, so that's up. That's up. Now let's turn on the Pi. Hopefully it doesn't explode. So I'm plugging in the barrel cable, and the fan should come on. There we go. You'll notice the strong support I have for the fan. To prevent it from falling, the cable is kind of pushing against the wall. So that's good. And I probably should move the card out a little bit just so it gets a little more airflow. This card does get a little hot. Some SAS cards do have active cooling. They have a fan like a GPU would, but this card just has a passive heatsink, and it assumes that in your server you would have fans passing air over it enough to cool it off. And as long as you do it, it stays below 60 degrees Celsius or so. And if you had a strong fan, it'd probably stay below 50 or 40. But I just have this Noctua over here blowing a little bit of airflow through it. Obviously it's set up for air to flow from back to front here so that the air can kind of cool in between the fins better. Anyways, I can see that these drives are powering up. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if you turned up your volume a lot, maybe you could hear that, but I can hear them going like zoo. They haven't jumped out of the trays yet, and they seem to be working, so that's a good sign. All right, so now let's go into the terminal. I'm going to switch over. Ooh, I heard it click. That's not a great sound. And half the drives just turned off. Well, that's not too wonderful. It looks like these drives all just turned off and the power supply just turned off, maybe due to current issues. Let's try this again. Okay, so these drives are on. These don't feel like they're spinning up. It's not wonderful. Anyway, this is the reason why we do things live, to see how much we can break. But let's see what the Pi is seeing at this point. Let me move my terminal window so you can actually see. All right. Let's make sure it's seeing the card with LSPCI. So there's the card, the MegaRAID tri-mode, and let's see what it sees with LSBLK. So it still sees those two disks. That's this set is the SAS, and this set is those SATA drives, the SSDs. So let's see what the card shows. Where is store CLI? CD utility? No. Is it in? Yeah. No. Opt. I think I dropped it into opt. MegaRAID. Store CLI. Okay. Store CLI. Show. So it's showing the enclosure here. Showing one controller, but it's not showing these other drives. I'm going to reboot the Pi and see if the power supply will stay on. But actually, let's see, port 16. I think it's only seeing the 8 drives that were on when it initialized. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's only seeing these 8 drives right now, and it has these 2 volumes. Oh wait, hold on. So it is seeing, how many drives is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's seeing 12 drives, so that's a little weird. I'm going to reboot and see if we can get all the drives to spin up. And Josh says, show all, so I'll do that next time. Test one batch at a time. That's not very fun. I'm going to test them all at a time. That's the fun way to do this. All right. And Josh is saying you saw the RAID volumes in that list. All right, let me get back in here. I think it's booted up now. No, it's not yet. It's waiting on that card to initialize. I mentioned that in the other video, that cards like this actually have a little bit of a boot process, and if you want them to initialize on boot, you have to wait for the card to finish its initialization so that all the volumes that it supports will show up on your system. So, oh, move my chapter marker. Sorry about that. There you go. Sorry to anybody who's scrubbing through the video and finds out that I actually started testing this a few minutes ago. And I'm sorry if you can hear my drinking water. I forgot that I actually have a mic mute button. All right, let's try this again. Let Redshirt Jeff try. I don't think that that would be a great idea here. And you'll see why at 10:45 or so. And Moral Monster says it worked perfectly in the test run. I've never tested this. That I think was some of the fun of doing this live stream. So let's see. We're going to log back into the Pi, and well, it's not in there. It's /opt. What is it? /opt/ MegaRAID / store CLI. I think it's there. Show all. All right. Oh, well, okay. So we're seeing, so these are just, it's only showing the drives inside the enclosure right now. Right? There's a lot of information in here. Let's see. The drives are on. These drives are on. These, the 4 SATA drives, I don't think that they're spinning up, which is a little strange. I thought that I had tested one of these drives connected directly to the car one time, and it was working. Also, I tested 2 of these, and they were working. Of course, they're powered up, but I don't feel any vibration at all. So I'm wondering if they're not actually coming online. All right. The power supply just turned off, I think. All right, let's try turning it back on again. The fans are on here. Well, that's annoying. There were 2 RAIDs on the card. Yeah. I need to delete those at some point anyway, so maybe we can. What is help? Delete. I want to delete the volume. There's a lot of stuff in here. No. Delete. There's not just a delete volume or something. And Marcus mentions that they go to sleep. The problem is I don't feel them even spinning up. I'm not feeling anything out of these guys. I mean, they're definitely getting power because the LEDs are on. Let me pop one out. See, it gets power, but I don't feel anything spinning up here. Yeah, I know. You should be feeling some gyroscopic. Oh, hold on. Hold on a second. Let me listen. Something's spinning, and it might just be the fan, though. All right, hold on. So deleting, how do I delete a volume? Is it volume? Volume delete, okay. Show all. And what are the volumes here? We have 0 and 1. So if I say volume delete 0, no, that's not it. No. Oh, here. Okay, /c 0/vall delete. That'll delete them. Okay, and I hear the drives. The drives are doing something. Well, right when I switch the camera, they stop doing something. So I look smart. All right, and let's try showing all again. So now we should have good means the drive is working and the enclosure can see it fine. And if I go up here, there's nothing else. Nothing else that seems like it's Seems like it's seeing the other drives. I tested this cable at least, and it worked. I'm thinking maybe I'll shut it down and try just one set of drives at a time. So I'm shutting down, and I'll switch over here. I'm going to wait for the LED on the Pi. Okay, it's off. So I'm going to unplug that, turn off this bay, and unplug these. Ooh, the card is nice and toasty. All right, I'm going to try just this guy into C0 for now. And I do hear, could just be the fans though. Ooh, my poor woofer. I'm scratching it with a power connector. All right. Okay, so these are off. You know what? The SATA drive's all just turned on. I just turned them all spin up. You probably can't hear that even if you turn it up. But these all just spun up, all 4 of them. I can feel them vibrating now. Okay, that's weird. And now the power supply just shut off. All right, let's try turning you back on. Maybe this power supply is bad. Okay, so everything is spinning up now. I can feel these 4. Yeah. These are not spinning up though. Maybe this guy's bad. All right, let me pull him out of the equation here, and we're going to take a little look. Is it not providing enough power? What's the deal here? Let's switch over to the iPhone so you can see. Yeah, the SATA drives do take power, but of course it's a bad CPU. Look at it. There's nothing special about this. So these 2 fans work. So if I plug it in, well, that is, yeah, this power supply is annoying. Basically the lesson is, unless you actually have a PC, you probably shouldn't use a PC power supply for this unless you build a controller for it or have a special one. All right, that's on. The fans are on. So you can see the fans are blowing air. And these LEDs are on, but the drives are not spinning up on this guy. All right, so I'm going to take this guy out of the loop, because it seems like the power supply is not powering them happily. I'm going to try my other power supply that I don't believe has enough amperage to power all 4 of these. And power that on. Now look at this. They're starting to spin up. Well, maybe they aren't. Maybe they're all broken now. Well, you know what? We're going to try doing 12 drives on a Pi today. For now, this thing seems like it's having issues. The SATA drives are powered up again. So I'm going to plug it in. And switch over here. And I'm going to turn this off. Disconnect. Try not to knock down my pile of Raspberry Pis over here. We're going to go for 12 drives today. The title of this video is Incorrect. And we're going to see how that works out. So let's power it back up. All right. It's booting. Oh, you know what? I didn't have the storage array turned on. Hold on a second. Let's wait for this to log in. The voltage drop on the cable. Yeah, I mean it's strange. It should. This little guy was able to power at least 1 drive. Yeah, 4 drives is a lot more than 1. Anyway, yeah, we're going to try to get these SATA drives working. Here's the problem. This enclosure here is pretty old. The drives are all pretty old. When you mix a bunch of that old stuff, there's a reason why they're so cheap on eBay. Let's see. Connect here. The Pi is still booting. I should have turned on the thing. Hold on. Meanwhile, let's see. What's the make and model of the 4-drive 2? So I actually don't know what the model is of this guy. Obviously, I don't necessarily recommend it if it's not powering these drives. But the model, it's not printed anywhere on it. I haven't opened it up yet, but when I do, maybe I'll try to find that. But there's a few other ones like it. I actually have one that I used the SATA drives in, the four SSDs. I had another one that's about the same, but it was like 25 or 35 bucks on Amazon. Let's see. What else? Have you heard about the Helios 4? I have not. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I haven't looked into it at all. What Mac am I using? It's a Core i9 MacBook Pro. I bought it earlier this year, or not this year now. It's still 2020 to me. Anyway, I bought it last year because I started doing more streaming and I needed more CPU power for that. Are they all the same format, these drives? I don't even know, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to wipe them all. I don't have anything I care about on them. I wouldn't put anything I care about on most of these drives. They're too old for that. You saw a hammer earlier. This hammer. This has been on my desk for quite some time. It's my golden hammer, and it reminds me of the fact that I am prone to the golden hammer. I don't know, it's not a fallacy, but the problem with the golden hammer where you take one solution, like using a Raspberry Pi for something, and you do that for every single thing in the world, and it's named Maslow's Law. So this is my Maslow's Law hammer, and I always keep it with me on the desk as a reminder for that. Anyway, so the Pi should be booted up now. I'm going to reboot or shut down now. And once it's shut down, we'll boot it all back up. Okay. Waiting for the controller to turn on. And these drives, the SATA drives, have shut themselves off. Yeah, so this power supply isn't the best thing in the world for this situation. I think what I'm actually going to do, because the power supply seems to be inconsistent, I'm going to take this power supply out of the loop. And I know that I can actually power these 4 drives using the 2 amp power supply, because that's what I did in my SATA RAID video. Sorry about that. Earlier this year. So I'm going to unplug and remove the power supply. So this guy's going bye-bye for now. I think if I want to use it in the future, I'll have to spend more time figuring out how to make it stay on and not blow up in my face. And I'm going to put this guy back over here, and I need to get an adapter now. So I'm going to take this. I can't show you the whole thing because it's in my little cable tray over here, and I don't want to yank it out of there to show you. But this is a 4-pin Molex AC adapter, and it puts through 2 amps. You can probably find one that's more, but it's convenient because it's just a wall plug and it has a switch built in, so you can turn it on and off for any kind of device that needs it. Now again, this is powered separately than the Pi, so some things can sometimes have issues from that. Anyway, I'm going to I need an adapter from 4-pin Molex to SATA. So I'm going to go over to, where's my power box? Someday I'm going to have organization in my office. I have a bunch of these boxes. Oh, here it is, power cables. I have a bunch of these boxes with all the different kits of things that I need in it, including this one, which has all my adapters. And I need, oh goodness, which one is it? Let's see. We need male SATA to female Molex. That's female SATA. That's not going to work. Okay, hold on. Female Molex to male. That's female again. Female Molex to male SATA. I think that's it. Let's try this out. All right. Let me switch cameras so you can actually see it. Yeah, 2 amps isn't enough for those SAS drives for sure, but it is enough for these SATA drives at least. In my testing so far, that's what I found. Okay, so this guy in 2. This way. Okay, so I got power through here. If I switch this on, so this is shut off. Okay. I hear them spinning up. Okay, I feel them spinning up. That's good news. All right, so these are all powered on. Don't have a power supply issue here where it'll just shut itself off for no reason. And now I need to clean up. So you didn't see them too close. These are all the little adapters I have from almost anything to almost anything. So I can go from SATA to fan connect, or not fan connector, SATA to floppy. Nobody has floppies anymore, but anyway. SATA to floppy, floppy to Molex, Molex to SATA. It pays to have these adapters for that one random time when you need one. All right. So back to it. I'm going to plug in the Pi. There we go. Yeah, power up the CM4. I actually have to do that. I'm not live. I am live. And yes, I did post a video, but don't look at that quite yet. That was supposed to be a surprise. I figured that this would go a little bit better than it has so far. And so my plan was to wrap it up around 10:45, but you know, that's what happens to plans. But yes, on YouTube you can schedule a release. And I was going to try to figure out how to get it so that after the stream was over, it would redirect you to that. But anyway, that's a surprise for the end. You can wait and see it then. But anyway, let's go back to the screen here. This should be booted now. Or not. It's still waiting on that card. So let's see. Yeah, maybe grab a Seasonic power supply. Like I said in that power supply video, I know very little about power supplies. I'm not a PC builder, but I do have fun building PCs sometimes. But let's see. Still booting. Still booting. Host is down, it says, which means it's booting. Clear that out of the way so it's prettier. Log in. I still see the blinking LED. All right. Plugging one hard drive into them can cause them to catch fire. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the reason I bought that Red Dragon, I don't know how to pronounce it. The reason I bought that was because it's the cheapest one. That's probably not the best idea, but that's how I am. So now that I know the cheapest one doesn't work, maybe I'll step up to another one. And like I said, it probably can work. I just need to like wire up a Pico to it and do some things to make sure that it doesn't turn off. And I know that they also make some power supply adapters that you can do for that. What I really want is a little power supply that just has like a Molex connection, a SATA connection, and maybe whatever the 6-pin graphics card connection or motherboard connection or something. I just need to plug some things, and I have a DC bench power supply, but then you have to sit there and wire up banana plugs and things. I don't want to do that. Anyways, I asked too much, I guess. Go cheap or go home. Let's see. So we're logged in. Let's get the information that the card sees. All right, so we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. We're seeing 12 drives. That's good. Here's the SATA SSDs. Oh, this is cool. I didn't even know it would show that it's an SSD versus an HDD. So these are those 4 Kingston SSDs I'll show you here. That's these 4 on the top. And then we have the 4 SAS hard drives, which are these 4 here on the bottom that sound like a freight train when you write to them. And then finally we have these 4, which are SATA hard drives, 500 gigs. I thought there were 300 gigs. Well, there's an extra few hundred gigs for us. Not that it's going to help too much, but you know, the funny thing is about this is these drives here are actually SAS1, SAS, the original SAS. So there are 3 gigabits drives, and these probably were the slowest of all. So getting these out of the loop might actually make this entire array go a little faster. Yeah, I will definitely let you know what happens with that enclosure. It was working a few days ago. I just tested one drive in it, but I'm guessing it's a power issue. We'll figure that out. Let's see. So we'll switch back to screen here. So we see these drives, and they're all U good. I don't know what the U stands for. Maybe somebody can mention that in chat, but I guess they're understandably good or understatedly good. So they're all good, so the controller card can see them all. That's a good sign. Next up, I need to format them, or not format them, put them into a RAID volume. So I'm going to, and someone mentioned the PSU can't supply enough current. It should be able to. 600 watts is a lot of power and split up on 2 of the buses. I believe they're all linked internally too, and I was reading the specs. I think it can put through 11 or 12 amps, at least 10 amps. This was the 700 watt one, so it should be able to by the spec sheet, but you never know. Ultra good. Unconfigured. Oh, well, yeah, if you actually read the docs. Here we go. You good. Unconfigured, but good. Okay. Yeah. So the moral of the story is, if you ever have a question, you should read the docs before you start making things up. All right, so we need to format this, and I'm going to cheat a little bit, unless somebody wants to pop into the chat what to do here. I'm going to cheat and go find what the command was somewhere else, just because I don't want to have to go through the help to find out the command. Let's see. PCI. And if you didn't know it, I have a website that documents my experience with all the different cards I've been testing. And I just added this, and I'm going to talk about it when I talk about graphics cards again. I added a page that lists all of the compute module boards that are out there that I know about. And there's more. Every week or two there's another one. So there's a lot of cool boards here, and a couple of them, like the SATA NAS board from WireTrusty, I've had my eye on it. It looks like it might come into production sooner or later. Some other NAS boards are kind of cool for a small home NAS that uses gigabit Ethernet. The CM4 NAS Mini PCI, which is really tiny and has 3 or 4 SATA ports on it. So some cool stuff there that you might want to check out. Anyways. I don't know if that mic button actually worked or not. It didn't. Whatever. I just hit the mic button on my Stream Deck, and now it's showing me an exclamation point. So I have no way of muting this microphone. Sorry if I have to cough or something. All right. So let's find, I need to go back here. Let's find this card. It's the MegaRAID. MegaRAID 9460, that's what it was. Earlier in the video I tried remembering what the model number it was. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add, let's see, in the chat, tell me if you want me to do RAID 0, which would be risky but fun. RAID 1, which is no, we shouldn't do that with this many drives. RAID 5, which is risky with this many drives but could be fun. Could also be a little bit slower. Or RAID 6 or RAID 10. We'll see what somebody, I'll pick from random from somebody commenting. But I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to say add VD. We'll see what somebody says. Super RAID is what we'll call it. Storage enclosure 97. So here's a question. There's two. It says there's 2 enclosures. Technically, the other one is not an enclosure because it's just a cable. Don't just spam the same thing over and over again. I'm not going to pick somebody that way. Oh, make a poll. Can I do that? I don't know if you can do polls in live chat. Yeah, I don't see a way to make a poll in live chat as far as I can tell. GlusterFS. I'm not going to set up Gluster on here today. So I want to do 97, 0 through, what is it, 0 through 7? 97, 0 through 7, and then 98, 8 through 11. So do I just do 98, 8 through 11? Okay, you guys can stop for a second. I'll pick somebody from that list in just a minute. All right, okay, so 97, 0 through 7, 98, and Josh in the live chat is the one to thank for getting this thing set up. He was orchestrated getting the card to me in the bay and stuff, so pretty cool. Okay, so 90, oh gosh, live chat is going very fast now. I need to go back to find that. 97, 0 through 7, 98, 0 through 3, which, so it's saying 8 through 10 though. Is that correct? Up here. Is there anywhere else that it listened? No. Just making sure. I'm going to see if Josh responds here. I was right. Ha! Okay, 8 through 10. 0 through 7, 8 through 10. Okay. And then we're going to use default cache. We'll up the strip to 256 because there's a lot of all 8 of these drives are spinning disks, and having a bigger strip size is more helpful for performance for them. These poor SSDs, I mean, they're consumer grade, so they're not going to perform as well anyways in some respects. But anyway, so there's that, and I'm going to pop in here and let's pick one of the RAIDs at random. RAID. I see a lot of RAID 5, 6, and 10. A couple people doing RAID 0. That'd just be fun, but I'm guessing that, yeah, Redshirt Jeff can do the RAID 0 later. I'll let him do that. We're going to go with RAID 10 this time. All right. Let's try it out. RAID 10. Okay. Wait. Oh, shoot. I had the wrong opt. MegaRAID, store CLI. Okay, here it is. And I need to use sudo. All right, let's see if this works. Boom. Oh, no. I guess RAID 10 can't span across these two enclosures. Let's try, okay, so RAID 10, maybe not. Let's try RAID 6. Physical disk doesn't have the proper attributes. Well, that stinks. All right, RAID 69, I don't think that's going to work. Let's try RAID 5. Nope. Okay, let's try. We'll just go with RAID 0 and see what happens. No, it does not have the proper attributes. Well, that's kind of annoying. I need to make RAID groups first. 8 through 10 is missing a disk. Oh, am I actually missing that? Oh, yeah. Let's pop 11 in there. But it's still going to give me this warning. RAID 1? No. So it's not giving me anything fun here. No RAID for me. Progress my status bar. Oh, shoot, yeah. Goodness gracious. I spent a good deal of time a few nights ago working on that thing. Might as well use it. So maybe, yeah, I haven't tried mixing SATA and SAS. So let me just try doing the 8 SATAs. So 97, 0 through 3. Let's try doing that in a RAID 10. 97, 0 through 3. Okay, so cannot do a span. Let's try doing RAID 0. YOLO this thing. Doesn't have the proper attributes. Okay, so hold on. Show all. All right, these are SATA, 0 through 3. And these are SATA, 8 through 10 on 98. And that was the command we were doing, 97, 0 through 3, 98, 8 through 8 through 11. Okay. Well, let's try this. Let's try RAID 0 on the first 4 SATA drives. Actually, let's just try through these. Nope. Okay. Let's try through those. Okay, so we got a RAID 0 on these. Okay. So let's do RAID 0 on 4 through, was it 8? No. 4 through 7. Off by 1 error. Okay, RAID 0 on those. And we'll do 98, 8 through, 11. Okay, so we can create RAIDs with all the different ones. Huh. I can't pronounce your name, but I don't understand anything you're doing, but it's fun. Yes, I agree. All right. Oh, Vincent Palmer says that I can do this if I set up the arrays, the groups first before I create the array. You know what? Somebody's asking me also about power for this rig. I don't actually have my kilowatt plugged in. I was going to do that for this stream, but I forgot. So I'll try to measure that at some point later. And Mindless Mind, you can actually create RAIDs on this card with different capacities. I think the big issue here is that there's different interfaces, like there's a backplane and a separate one. But anyway, so let's see here. Vincent Palmer says that I should be able to do this. RAID 10, 83. Let's see. So this is where I am not a store CLI expert by any means. And you can't see the full command in the terminal. It should be breaking lines here. So this command right here is breaking line to this one. So that's the command that I used just now. And can I move myself in the top right? Yeah, let me do that. I should actually just have myself up there anyways. All right, there's that. Now you should be able to see the bottom of the terminal, which is more important anyways. Let's see, okay. Okay, and technically I could connect to the GUI. I'm running Raspberry Pi OS Lite, the version that doesn't have the GUI in it. So that's why it's not there. And also this is, for anybody that is seeing this later, on the screen it says a 16 drive volume. We're doing 12 drives because this guy with 4 extra drives was not actually working, seemed to have a power issue. So, all right. So let me show all again. I'm going to see. So they're all online and they're separate RAIDs. And if I say LSBLK, I can see SDA. Ooh, look at that, a terabyte. We're like living in the 2000s now. This one's only 445. So, I mean, I could put these together in software, but that'd just be silly. What I really want to do is, where was that chat message? You guys are chatting so much I can't get up there. All right. So Vincent Palmer had mentioned doing something like this. Now somebody wants me to move myself to the bottom right corner. Let's see. Okay. So the idea here would be what? First, I'd have to delete the 3 RAID volumes that I just created, I presume. And so let's do that really quick. Where was that command? VL delete. Okay, so we're deleting all the volumes that I just created. Yeah, somebody's asking about a Discord server. Right now, I think I'm in like 7 Discord servers. What else? Like 7 or 8 Slack things. I'm in IRC all the time. There's just too much chat in the world. I have everything muted. I just couldn't. I just couldn't deal with trying to manage that. At least not right now. Someday, if I ever grow to be the size of like Linus Tech Tips and I have 15 people on staff that just go around and do social media, yeah, we could think about that. I just can't moderate a community of chat that's specific to this channel. All right. So if we wanted to do this, RAID 10. Okay. I should probably copy and paste this out of chat so that I can get reference to it. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm just cleaning up here. And so what, shoot, it went off my screen again. All right, so store CLI, C0 add VD RAID 10 drives. So we do 97 0 through 3. That'd be that. PDP ER array equals 2. So, trying to think. So if we did that, if we did this first, and this strip size would be 64 because they're SATA SSDs. So let's try that, and then array 3 would be 97 4 through 7. Okay, and this strip size would be 256 because they're SATA. That's because they're SAS spinning drives. PD per array does not match with the specified arrays. Huh. So store CLI. So what is PD per array? Yeah, there's nothing about that. Let's look in here. Oh. So what does PD per array mean? That's my question. PD cache. All right, I'm looking in the manual. PD per array. PD per array. Here we go. 0 to 15. Number of physical drives per array. Well, that would be 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be 4, actually. Right? RAID 10. Parity disks per array. Oh, okay, so now I actually get it. So this would be, if I'm doing RAID 10 here, this would be 2 still. And that should work. Okay. Yeah, but that, I think it automatically sets that if I don't need that. So what is the, so let's see. Let's see, PD per array 2. Define your groups first before trying to create the array. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way that I can lump these in together into one RAID array. So I'm making 3 RAID 10s right now, again, instead of RAID 0s. This would be 98, 8 through 11. And it would be, again, PD per array 2. But that's, so now if I say show all, it's going to show me these 3 volumes. They're all named the same thing. Oops. That shouldn't be the case. And at RAID 10, they're going to have smaller size. But can I create like one RAID volume out of these 3? Because that's really what I want to do. With 16 drives, can I store some totally not incriminating data on it? Of course. Just copy it over. I mean, so at this point, LSBLK, I have these 3 devices. I could create a software RAID array of them. That's kind of annoying, and it's already been an hour. I'm wondering if maybe I should cut this off and try to figure out if I can get this working some other way. Because what I wanted to do is make one big 16 drive RAID array and see if I could do that. Obviously the 16 is out of question because we had this problem with the these 4 drives, and somebody in the stream, somebody in the live chat did mention that they might have some drives they could send my way, which would be cool if I could have all the same drives. I mean, when you're building enterprise RAID arrays or anything professional level, you want to use the same drive, and the thing, you don't want to mix and match a bunch of different hard drives. You can do that, especially if you're using like RAID-Z or MDadmin or something. You can even do it with hardware RAID, but it causes problems, not just in getting the RAID thing set up. If you have problems with the drive in the future, the performance characteristics can be different, and it can lead to weird, hard to debug performance problems. You also should have extras on hand to slap in if one of your drives fails, which happens in these RAID arrays. I mean, it could be that all 4 of those drives are bad now. I don't know. It's either the enclosure, the power supply, or the drives. I don't think it's the enclosure because it's pretty darn simple. Yeah, so merger FS. I mean, I can stripe these together inside of MDadmin or even do like ZFS or something crazy like that. But that's just adding a bottleneck on top of everything that I don't want to do. I wanted to do this all through the hardware card, and I have a feeling that it's possible, but maybe there's something I'm missing, and we might need to get someone else involved from Broadcom who knows more about the way that the card works with different types of drives or something. In the end, though, I mean, the best solution would be to use the same drive for everything. But even there, if I have like 8 of the same drive here and 4 more of the same drive outside of it, will that work? I'm not 100% sure. I think I might need to talk to somebody who knows more about this than me. So I think that today's live stream, we might stop there, and I'll just advance a little bit more through here. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get to the benchmarks. I could do a benchmark right now, but what's going to happen is this one's going to benchmark at 400 megabytes per second. This one's going to be like 200, doing random writes and things like that. It's because they basically are pumping through as many bits as the Pi can pump through on its bus. Anyway, so yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get through getting one RAID array out of all this, but I think that it's possible, and I will be talking a bit more about RAID because let me switch over to my iPhone cam, which is now getting very choppy. It seems like as time has gone on, it's gotten choppier and choppier. I have down here this Asus Store NAS unit. What I'm going to do, so somebody from Asus Store reached out and they said, hey, we saw you're doing all this stuff with NFS on the Pi. I think, and you can see my beautiful little bug trap over there, because every once in a while I get a big cockroach in here. Anyways, because I'm in my basement. They reached out, sorry, that's probably not the best way to introduce this thing. It's actually a pretty cool NAS unit. They said, hey, why don't you try this thing out and tell people, you know, what are the differences? Why would you choose something like this over something like a home-built Raspberry Pi NAS? And I thought that was a cool problem. So they also contacted Seagate, who sent me these 4 Iron Wolf drives. So I'm going to be using these in that NAS, and then I'm going to do the same thing in a Raspberry Pi NAS using just a SATA card for now, because I want to try to see if I can get a similar price range for those 2 things. So watch for that on the channel. And I'll also be doing a couple other storage things. I'm still working on something that will be even more interesting and fun using this Broadcom card. So keep watching. Cockroach, what? Yeah. Yes. Every once in a while, I notice that the bug catcher gets full, so I have to toss it out. But anyway, yeah. So that's it. And I was going to celebrate everything. I mean, I'm still celebrating. We got 12 drives running. They're all connected to the Pi, and I have 3 RAID volumes, hardware RAID. I wanted to get 1 RAID volume, so we'll see if we can get that. But there's a new video. One of the hard drives didn't work, and maybe there's 4 more that don't work now. I don't know. But one of the hard drives didn't work, so I handed it off to Redshirt Jeff to let him try to fix it. And things went a little south. Anyway, that video is on my channel, so go to the channel page and check it out. Anyways, until next time, I'm Jeff Geerling.